All right, everybody, hello. It is our new day, Wednesday, and this is our live tech talk show that we do every week. I'm Tony Pellegrino, thanks for joining me. And we're here to talk about your favorite subject and mine, Jeeps. So thanks for joining us. I'll give everybody a minute to get on. Today we are going to talk about a very inexpensive way to build a Jeep. Normally we talk about big tires and expensive stuff. Today we're going to show you how to do it on the cheap. So if you've been thinking about a Jeep, or you want a second Jeep, or you got a friend that needs a Jeep, this will be the show to watch, because we're going to show you how to pick up a Jeep and build it so you can wheel it. I'm not talking about looks, and I'm not talking about light bars and all that crap. I'm talking about a Jeep you could wheel on the Rubicon. Okay, so meet my 1989 YJ. You can see that it's been around. And today we've got Alex, Jamie, and Jordan, of all people, in here to read questions. So this ought to be interesting, to say the least.
Yeah.
This is a 1989 Jeep Wrangler Yj. I don't know, I think it was kind of the base model. It's got the 4.2 liter straight six engine. It did get the Howl, not to be confused with How, but Howl EFI fuel injection conversion done on it. It's got a 5-speed manual transmission, and it came with the factory half doors, and basically still the original interior, which is pretty chowdered. It did come with a 3-inch spring lift and some heavier duty shackles and greasable shackle bolts, and currently has 30-inch tall AT tires with some newer aluminum wheels off like a TJ. So kind of a nice setup right now. So let's kind of talk about this. The first thing I did was I picked up a Scosche magic mount to hold my phone on the dash, right? Because I've got the same thing in all my trucks, Jeeps, everything. So put one of these on there, works great, to say the least. The next thing I did was I swapped out the factory front bumper that was set up with a flat tow bar. By the way, these are only held on with 2 bolts on each side. It's just a chunk of metal. And I put on our stubby bumper. This one happens to be steel. Still gives me the ability to flat tow it, but it also gives me the ability to mount a winch. So because I want to take this off-road, lightly off-road, I know on smaller tires I'm probably going to need a winch. So that became one of the starting points. So I'm going to put the brand new low-cost Warn VR winch on there. You can see a picture of that right now. And those things sell for about $519. I just checked the price on that, and very affordable. And it's got the Warn name, so at least when you do need it, you'll be able to trust it. The next thing I did was the shocks that were on there were some old Rancho 9000s, which back in 1989 were the stuff, to say the least. But they're hammered and blown. So I updated it with some Bilstein 5100 series. Hopefully you can kind of see in there. These have been fantastic on here. Like, the ride is really good. And I don't know what these springs are, but they ride very nice as well. So like I say, it's a spring under, which is the way I'm going to leave it. And a 3-inch lift is what this came with. So, all right, let's keep going down my list. The next thing I did was I picked up a set of used best top upper windows for my half doors, because I have nothing and it's coming wintertime and it's getting cold. So it's got a little bikini top on there, and I put one of those wind jammers, the best top wind jammer, in there to keep the air from circulating around the back. This, if you haven't ever tried it, between the the door uppers and that windjammer, the heater works beautifully. So you can drive, even though it's not watertight, it really helps keep the heat in for the cooler weather. I did also pick up a Best Top Duster deck for the back, just to, from a winter standpoint, kind of keep all the water out. And I got one of those Best Top security covers for the back, so behind the rear seat, you can put tools and kind of hide a few things and close the door and lock it. The next thing I wanted to show you was the windshield on this was broken when I got it, so I need to order some new windshield glass. But you can see that it's pretty rusty. So I picked up a brand new, super lightweight windshield frame. And I'll put my new glass in this. This has got all the inserts are molded into this. It's fiberglass, it's very lightweight, and it will absolutely serve the purpose for this vehicle. So, and it'll never rust again. So great way to go. All right.
Who makes that?
That was made by a company in Nebraska. We're actually gonna start selling those.
Cool.
So yeah, because the guy's a little tiny outfit, so we're just gonna start stocking them and selling them. So we'll get those listed on the website here pretty quick. The next thing I'm doing is a set of our RCG 2003 rocker guards. So these come unpainted. I already painted one because that's my next install. But you know, this is the typical L shape. It's got the big 1 3/4 bar with the dimpled eye step. And those, we've made these since literally day one of GenRight. Can you see it pretty good, Alex, with the bar and everything? And those will mount on there just perfect. I will trim the factory plastic flares. They're kind of rubbery plastic, and make them fit with the rockers. So that'll be a nice thing. Then the next thing I'm gonna do is the rear bumper. So the rear bumper I chose has our dimpled eye step, just like the rockers, with a 2-inch receiver hitch and the toe points built in. This new bumper comes with some new brackets that have to be welded from the inside of the frame. When you do that, it makes this really, really stout. And if you put something on here like a bike rack, it doesn't bounce anymore. So to do all that, you have to remove the tank. So while I have the tank out, I'm going to put in our fuel pump access plate to make it easy to get to the fuel pump. If you haven't already seen one of those are $169, inexpensive, easy to do. And I'm going to change the fuel pump. I'm going to put in a brand new fuel pump itself, just the little guy, not the whole module, but the little guy. And I'm going to put on a heavy duty gas tank skid plate. So those are the things I'll do while I'm doing the rear bumper. The next thing I'm going to do is the YJ. If you know anything about YJs, came with a 2-piece front axle shaft. So went to the junkyard, got a 1-piece out of a TJ, readily available. And this is an easy swap. You do have to put a new seal in, not a big deal, but this is a great way to go to get rid of that. And you can also buy these upgraded from Yukon or any one of the manufacturers in a chromoly version. So if you have a little more money to spend, you can go that route. All right, the next thing I did, where did it go? Oh, it's here on the jack stands, was I picked up a Dana 44 out of a TJ or LJ, readily available, and also allows me to upgrade to disc brakes. So a lot of the time when you find them, whoever took them out literally just gutted them like this, where everything's still hanging on them. You're obviously gonna cut all that off and weld on 2 leaf spring perches. Super easy to do. You can pick these axles up. Sometimes people will pay you to get rid of them, but typically they're anywhere from $100 to $500. And then of course I'm going to re-gear it as part of my plan. You can leave the stock axles or you can upgrade the shafts, because you never know where the axle came from, so you never know what kind of abuse it got prior to you having it. Yukon sells a set of chromoly shafts for the back of that for under $500, and that's an easy slip-in item. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to upgrade and put in set of Yukon Lockers, and probably going to opt for the Grizzly. That's their like higher end model. I'm not going to do the lunchbox lockers. I'm going to put real carrier lockers in, and also change the gearing to 456 because I'm going to go with a 35-inch tire. So currently are 30-inch tires. I'm going to upgrade to 35-inch tires. That's one of the Mickey Thompsons sitting there, and you know, that'll really be a nice, that brings it back to stock. We've talked about gear ratios many times. And I am going to, since the axle's out, I'm going to take them down to a local guy called Hoopers, who all they do is rear ends. And in one day, they'll do the front and rear, set it all up, put the new ring and pinion and everything in for me. And that runs anywhere from $300 to $600. So, and they guarantee the work. So that's pretty nice. Makes it easy while they're out, and then just throw them back in and you're good to go. The next thing I'm gonna do is R1 make some upgraded brake pads for the stock brakes front and rear. So a nice easy upgrade to get a semi-metallic pad in there, and that'll better deal with my larger tires I'm gonna put on. Then I'm going to do a slip yoke eliminator on the transfer case. I've chosen the Advanced Adapters model because it comes with a 32 spline shaft. It's not the drill and tap, or what they call the hack and tap. This is a brand new shaft. That's actually what you want. It does require you to split the case, but not a big deal. Easy job to do on the weekend. And beside the fact that you get to look inside and see what kind of abuse your vehicle may have taken before you acquired it. Oh, I forgot one important part. One of the reasons that I chose a YJ is because they're the underrated or undervalued Jeep of the Jeep brand, or Jeep Wrangler heritage. When they came out with the square lights, a lot of people criticize it for that, but that's actually your gain, right? You're gonna be able to pick up one of these cheap. I got this one for $3,000. Alex said he just looked and saw another one on Craigslist or somewhere for 4,500 bucks. You can pick these up very inexpensively. Mine's, you know, got some rust and, you know, the paint's not perfect. No problem. You know, that means you just pay less for it. The fact that it already had the fuel injection was very valuable to me. And if you get a newer Jeep, 91 or newer, it's going to come with factory fuel injection. So that's another thing to think about. Looks like Jordan's got a question.
What was the story for this build? Seems like a nice daily driver rig or something.
Yeah, that's a good question too. So for me, I wanted something not only that I could demonstrate how you could use GenRight parts to build a Jeep like this, including the cost of the Jeep for 10 grand. I was looking for something less expensive to just have as a runaround vehicle, whether it's me or Jordan or Jamie or, you know, anybody here at the shop. It makes for a nice little vehicle to just bop around. And on top of that, you know, we find instances where, you know, we're just going to a lesser trail, you know, Big Bear or wherever, and, you know, a vehicle like this, as long as it's got lockers, I mean, you'll be able to wheel this thing no problem. So I think, you know, Jordan even took it out over the last High Desert Roundup and was out cruising around. Now, obviously it wasn't as set up, but we're gonna make it that way, and you'd be able to wheel the heck out of this thing.
And it was broken after.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we figured out that all the rubber had gone out of the shocks, so it sounded really bad. That was upgrade number 2, yeah. Right? Replace shocks. Yeah. So the number 1 was the Scotia mount, because Jordan needed it too. So anyways, you know, it's a good clean runner. It passed smog. I got it cheap. And, you know, that all of those things qualify for, hey, this is going to be a great little build. So it's quiet. It runs good. It purrs like a cat, I'm telling you. So, you know, why not? It's a great little Jeep, and, you know, it'll make a nice daily driver and or a wheeler. we also happen to have the soft top that came off the Growler. So if I ever want to put a full soft top on it, we've got that too. So that works out pretty good. You can pick those up really inexpensively. You do not have to buy new on any of that stuff. Look around and find some used stuff. In fact, that leads me to my next item, which is, Alex, the Toughy center console. So I was able to pick this up used, and perfect example of something else that you can put in your Jeep. Real nice. The reason I wanted this was I wanted more lockable storage. Okay, because I don't know if you noticed, but the Jeep's wide open, right? You can't store anything in there. So if you stop by and go to the grocery store, or are out doing any shopping, or your girlfriend or wife wants to leave her purse, you're gonna need somewhere lockable like that. And if you haven't seen those, they're steel. And if you buy a new one, they're kind of pricey, but you can pick them up used. Just look around and you can get that stuff. All right. I'm also, after I do the slip yoke eliminator, I'm going to pick up a double cardan drive shaft from JE Reel. That's a good investment, and that'll be the last drive shaft I ever buy for this thing. More questions?
Are you going to be putting a cage in it?
My plan is right now not to do a cage, fenders, or corners right now. Okay, that's kind of a down the road. The way I'm describing what I'm doing to this Jeep is, including the price of the Jeep, $15,000. I can go back through and show you all the stuff that you should do, and you can do it all for 10 grand. So, it's a pretty good list. And by the way, let's see. The 10 grand price still includes putting a Dana 44 in it. Do not spend a dime on that Dana 35, okay? If you're gonna spend any money, it goes toward a 44. I don't even care if you run it stock, but if you're gonna put $500 into a Dana 35, it looks like that, okay? Make no mistake about it.
But that's still better.
This is way better, yeah. By the way, when this one breaks, if it does, the wheel doesn't fall off like it does on a Dana 35. This has a different type of axle attachment in it that prevents that from happening. So that's we've already talked about that on many shows. So this is a much better way to go. Okay, down the road, I do intend to rhino line this, remove all the factory carpet, and rhino line it. It looks like Jordan's got another question.
What transmission, stock BA10 or upgraded AX15?
I don't think this has the AX15. I have not had the skid plate off to look underneath yet, but it is a 5-speed manual. And right now, fifth gear is
it's like a 4.5 speed.
Yeah. So Val and I found that out on our first road trip that we were only getting 4 gears. So I have yet to get under there and change the fluids and stuff. And we've been driving the heck out of this thing, so it's running good.
I drive when you're out of town.
Yeah, and I've been driving it every day because we've been working on Terremoto or Aftershock or whatever. So it makes for a nice little vehicle. Yep. Okay, the next thing, the seats were really hammered. So I talked to the guys down at PRP. This is a really nice upgrade. They're reclinable seats. They have the removable seat cushions. I did get their bracket kit, which is extra, that's optional. These will be a really nice seat to put inside here. And it'll also give me the ability to upgrade to harnesses down the road, because that's what they're set up for. But right now I've got the factory seat belts. So a little bit of planning ahead, but that's what I've got for now. The next thing I'm doing is the factory steering box is still in here. It works fine. However, I know when I go to bigger tires, it's gonna make that thing beg for mercy. So I picked up, and you can, by the way, you can send your steering box in. So if it's not a daily driver or you wanna go to the junkyard, I picked up a factory YJ box and I sent it into AGR. They rebuilt the whole thing for me. They ported it for a Ram, so if I ever want to go to a Ram, it's already done. And I had them rebuild my factory steering pump, And these look really low tech. It's the old ham can style. But this is one of the best pumps they ever made.
I was going to say, they're efficient though.
They are. So that's a great thing too. So depending on what you're doing, that's a great way to go. At that time, I'm going to upgrade to our twisted pitman arm and change over to our chromoly heavy duty high steer package. So that's a nice upgrade as well. While Alex is over here, one of the things, so it did not come with a battery tie down, so I had to get that. And it didn't have these little rails on the top edge of the tub. So I needed to get those in order to mount a soft top or anything else that I want to mount down the road. So I picked up a set of those used as well. Okay. Since you're over here, Alex, one of my next upgrades is going to be one of our hood louvers. And one of the reasons that I'm going with that hood louver in particular, the full hood louver in black, is that if you've ever driven a light colored Jeep, you get a gnarly reflection off the hood, okay? So this is gonna help me darken down the middle of the hood, and that'll be really nice to take that glare off. Just easier on your eyes, less eye strain, okay? I'm also, right now it's got a Pioneer like CD player in there. Oh, Jordan's got more questions.
I think maybe you said something that was referring toward you were going to put high steer on it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Did you have a question about that, or
no,
you were just
he
repeating?
just said high steer, so new knuckle, question mark?
Yes. So in that case, you've got to do the TerraFlex knuckle, which we usually have in stock. So you do that on the one side. There is a kit also produced by MORE, and it's a nice kit. It does require that you have to drill and tap your knuckle, and I've never been like super comfortable with that. There's not a lot of meat in a Dana 30 knuckle, so I'd rather just replace the knuckle, okay? So, and when I do that upgrade, it's got 5/8 grade 8 bolts, which are plenty strong to run a 35 or a 37, yeah.
Are you going to do a video blog on this build?
I am. So this was, you know, I was getting all charged up on this and collecting parts, and I started putting the bumpers on and painting the rockers and stuff, and I'm like, whoa, better stop, because this is like a whole thing that we can do for the public and demonstrate to everybody how easy it is that you guys can do this stuff at home. So yeah, look forward to that, and we're gonna start on this tomorrow and kind of be chipping along. So, but great question. Okay. So next I was going to talk about, it's got an old Pioneer in there. This is, if you've never seen this is our MRB3, and it's completely digital, includes its own 60 watt per channel amp, super efficient, has a built-in equalizer, fader, balance control, AM, FM, and plays Bluetooth off your phone or whatever device you have. Works really well. And we make a little adapter plate, so you take out the radio, you put the adapter plate in, and then this pops in there, and the amp mounts right to the adapter plate. So I'll definitely do some more on that. It's a cool little unit, and they're completely waterproof. All the connectors, everything about it is absolutely made for the kind of abuse and stuff we do, especially when you're driving around in an open top Jeep. Yeah, Jordan?
One comment and two questions. If
Sure.
you don't put a cassette player with an 18-disc CD changer in the back, I'll be disappointed. And then, how was the frame and front floorboards? Any rust?
No, this one's really nice. I was a little bit concerned about that, but that was also one of the reasons that I chose a YJ. So, you know, if you go backwards and you go get a CJ, the problem with the CJ is the frame wasn't as stout as it is on the YJ. And as they built more Jeeps, right, they got better at what they did with the body. So the bodies became more impregnated and better coated to resist rust. And this particular one was stored with a hard top and hard doors, so I got those too. So it really kept a lot of the weather out, which was great. So by the time we got it, it was in decent shape.
It was outside most of the time. It was parked.
Most of its life. That's why the windshield frame is rusty, because water got down and ran down the inside of the frame, and that's where it leaked out. So that's that was the issue there.
I probably missed it. What was the target tire size?
Target tire size. So I really like this size tire, but it's got a little bit too much lift. So then I thought about going to a 31, but it still has a lot of lift for that. So I'm leaning toward a 35 inch. Right, that's what I've got stacked over here. But I think what I'm gonna do is go with a slightly more narrow profile. I think that's a 1250, and I think I'm gonna go with a 1050 so that I can keep these wheels and still keep this, where it'll get decent mileage and stuff. Yep. And with 456 gears, it'll be right back to stock, which is great. More questions, Jordy?
No,
or
that's
you
it
doing
for
okay?
now.
James, any questions on your end?
Just some comments, people saying love mounted YJ.
I'm getting a lot of those.
Well, anybody that knows it's hip to be square, right? Jamie knows. He's got one.
A
So
lot of them show up the last Jeep night.
yeah, that was like a record number of all time that we had at last Jeep night, outnumbering every other Jeep model. We had more YJs there, so that was really cool.
Someone said, with the new hood, will you cut out part of the OEM hood to allow for better cooling?
Yes. So what we'll do, and of course we'll do a video on this, but what I do is I just put blue tape down, I put the hood louver on, I trace around it, I mark in a 1/2 inch. Now underneath, there's some factory hood supports that you do not want to cut out. But everywhere else, you want to cut out and open that up so that the heat can come out of there. You'd be amazed at the amount of heat that's trapped under your hood. I got news for you. Yeah, this is the louver. I think you zoomed in on it before. And
Center cross member, you don't want to.
you don't cut. And you can see that we purposely left that. In fact, I can set it up on top of it, right? And if you look this way, you can see. Can you see that, Alex? Drop it down a little. You can see how open it is, right? So it really can breathe, which is pretty cool. And I've got those little tie down points on here, so it won't set all the way down, but it'll go on the hood about like so. So it fits really nice. Yeah, you can paint it to match. We sell it in just silver, raw aluminum. You can leave it like that. You could polish it up if you want. What else you got, Jordy?
What's the planned time frame on this build, assuming you already have the parts necessary to complete the build?
So, let's see. I'm gonna say,
Well, I guess let's start with, do you have all the parts to complete this stage of the build?
this should take about 7 days. 7 8-hour days to complete this. So not bad. So if that means, even if you made it 8, okay, so that's a couple of days on the weekend, right, for a month, or however much time you can dedicate, but you can get it done pretty quickly. So and again, I'm showing you how to do this, so you're gonna have not only a daily driver, an inexpensive build, but something that you could wheel probably on your local trails, and certainly get it through somewhere like the Rubicon. So most people would be pretty happy with that. More questions? Doing okay.
One more. Any rainwater issues with the hood louver?
No. So by the way, that's a common question. So think about this. I don't know about you, but a lot of the time when I go to the car wash, I open the hood and I hit it with the power washer. So the rain dripping in from the hood isn't going to hurt anything. So anyways, yeah. But I get that question all the time. By the way, I've also opened up the hood on my JL. So the factory hood that looks like it has a vent, well, I turned it into a vent. So I don't worry about that either. So, and I was going to tell everybody, we don't get much rain here, but 2 days ago, it poured. We got like 2 inches of rain. Well, I took the JL out and went ripping around just to prove that, no inner fender wells, hood wide open, all that stuff, like not an issue. Yep, James?
What PRP seats are those?
So these are the Enduros, and they're the reclinable, so you gotta look for that. And they have the removable seat cushion, which is cool because then what you can do is say you're taller than your wife, you can make a thicker one. You just ask PRP and they'll get you a thicker one. Or you could put a little spacer, under here. Also, the reason why I chose these is because if it's gonna rain, I take this out so I'm not getting wet butt. I can't take it in the house and I can run my 5th point, which is, as we've talked about many times, that's the important part. So, yeah, really, and I got vinyl, just durable, nothing fancy. Yep.
Will the PRP seats retrofit to power seat frames?
I don't know. That's a good, I would call PRP direct on that and see what they say.
How many Jeeps has Tony built for himself?
Oh.
Too many? Way too many?
Too many. Yeah, a lot. So, but it's, the Growler was my first build, and it wasn't called the Growler when we first got it. It looked something like this.
It was not the Growler.
It was just a plain old little YJ. And I was so nervous about cutting on it and doing stuff. And now I'm like, get the Sawzall, let's get rid of this stuff. So, yeah. Yep. Go ahead, Jordy.
Are you going to add the removable PRP steering wheel?
At some point, I will. I'm going to call that a security device. Anti-theft.
If you keep the leaf springs, any plans to stretch the rear with XJ springs?
That is a possibility, but I'm trying not to get like crazy on this one. It'll probably happen. Look, I get it, it's just the way it is. But of course we already make a 3-link and 4-link kit that goes on this thing. So, but I did learn a long time ago when I was building mine, leaving it on leaves is like incredibly simple and bang for the buck, it works good. So don't be afraid to leave it on leaves. Yep.
Well, first, Nana wants to trade you for her car.
Ah, nice. They're both white.
Same thing. LS swap down the road?
I don't know.
It'd be very down the road.
It would be very down the road. This engine really runs good. It doesn't even tick or pop or anything. So I got great oil pressure. So as long as that's the case, I always consider that a forced upgrade. If it goes south, then I'm like, I'm not putting a stock engine back in. Yeah.
Justin Andrew, where's the hand throttle?
Ah, right here. I figured somebody would ask. So can you see that okay? So it's literally like off a bicycle. And you just run this up to the throttle body and you attach it on there. And what I usually do is there's usually a little piece of chain so that it doesn't interfere with the throttle pedal. And that allows you to still operate the throttle as you need to without interfering with this or the other way. And you just set this up so that it's on your shifter and you can hit it back and forth with your index or thumb. Super easy. So yeah, good question. I knew somebody was gonna ask that. Go ahead.
VB Tom, how much can you stretch it without cutting the frame?
Well, for a long time we sold a kit that you could move the rear shackle onto the back bumper. So similar to like this bumper that we have here. And you could run a longer leaf spring and that would give you a 5-inch rear stretch. So that does require that you put in one of our gas tanks. So again, as part of the cheap build, I wasn't looking to replace the gas tank. The nice part is that the Dana 44 will fit comfortably in here without having to do any modification stuff. Once you go the bigger axle to that or want to stretch more, you're asking for trouble. And by the way, you'll never find the revolver shackles on one of my Jeeps because they unload without notice. And I've seen so many guys land on their lid. Looks like Jordan's got another question.
Thoughts on the 4.2? I haven't heard a lot of good about them.
Oh, actually, I like them. So this baby is a tractor. You can literally, like at 1,000 RPM, just roll into the throttle and it'll pull right through. Now, you know, max RPM is like 5,500. It's you know, not a high-tech engine, but when you're either putting around town or off-road, it's got a really nice range, and the throttle's not touchy. I noticed in a lot of TJs I drive, they're like, especially in low range, and they get all crazy. This is very smooth. It allows you to, even as an amateur, drive like a pro. So, yeah. The 4.2 is great to me.
It's definitely not fast, but it has a good amount of torque.
Yeah.
And it's smooth. So.
Yeah. I mean, you know, if I want something fast, I'll go buy a Corvette, you know.
What about reliability on them?
Great. As long as they got oil pressure, that baby will last forever. I know back when I wanted a V8 in the Growler, Debbie told me, no way. As long as that engine's running, you got to keep it. So I did my best to blow it up, and the only thing I did was break the timing chain. And I'm like, dang it. So we just put a new timing chain in and kept driving it. And, you know, Jordan drove it for a lot of years.
Wow, yeah.
What else you got?
Thoughts on a leaf front 4-link stretched rear?
Yes, you can absolutely do that. And I always tell people who are trying to break up the cost, it's a great way to do it. Doing the rear first is always preferred. The front is a lot more work. So if it takes you, you know, a week to do the rear, it's going to take you 3 to do the front. It's quite a bit more work to do the front. But, you know, then you don't get any axle wrap. So, you know, by doing that, you're really taking a leap forward. It's also part of the reason I'm leaving the spring under, because with the arch spring, it prevents the axle wrap. And these are military wrap style springs, so that also limits the amount of axle wrap. So a lot of things about that. Looks like both Jamie and Jordan have a question. I'll take Jamie first.
If you weren't adding the Dana 44, how could you upgrade the OEM brakes for managing bigger tires?
Yeah, actually, it's not hard. R1 has, you know, better rotors, better brake pads. That's really all you need to do to get to, like, if you want to, you could, a 31 for sure, a 35 probably. Back when I originally built the Growler, I got it all the way up onto 37s before I then, you know, jumped into Dana 60s. But, you know, I had to baby that thing. It was like, you know, guys, this is the size of the axle, the front. You know, this is nothing. So I don't know if you can see that or not, but it's, Alex, can they see that?
Yeah.
So it's not very big when you compare this to, you know, one of the other axle shafts. It's like half the size, so.
And then one more.
Sure.
What are your thoughts on the 4.6 stroker?
So Andrew would be the one to talk to about that. He did it. It does run good. It still allows somebody in California to pass smog. So there are some benefits to it. The only thing I would say is, you know, you're into it for a bunch of money. So you could either already be into a V8 or part way to a V8. So depending on, you know, if you're strictly building this for off-road purposes, or if you live in a state where that's not a problem, you might want to go that way too. So, oh, we're back to train time. I forgot about that. What else you got, Jordan?
When or if you LS swap and 37s, what axles would you use?
You know, 44s or 9s are the bare minimum. Honestly, the day you go to 60s, it'll be the best day of your life. I mean, it's because you just stop worrying about stuff. You don't have to carry spares. You know, that is not the weakest link on your Jeep anymore. So really, you're doing yourself a favor. So, and the problem is that people pour a bunch of money into the axles and all that stuff, and there's a lot of companies that'll say, hey, you know, we provide a shaft that'll never break. No, it won't. It'll be your ring and pinion. Oh, and when your ring and pinion breaks, you know where you are? The middle of nowhere. So Jordan's smiling because he knows that's the truth. What do you got, Jordy?
Regearing a JK Dana 44s out of a Rubicon, is it worth just sending it to a shop, or is it doable yourself?
You can totally do it yourself. Setting the bearing preload and getting the backlash correct, you know, where you have the proper pattern on the gears, can be challenging. So I don't recommend it for the lighthearted. It can turn into quite the project. And you know, when you think about it, if you got to pay somebody $300 to do it, that may be worth it to you, where you're not giving up a few weekends to work on your Jeep, you know. So think about it and you know, kind of proceed accordingly. What else you got, Jordy?
I think that, any plans on putting a 2 low gear selector in the transfer case?
Probably not. I know that there's that can be popular, but the rear drive shaft on this is not long, so I don't want to extend the drive line at all. So what else you got, Jordy?
What is a decent auto transmission swap for a manual YJ 4.2? Having a hard time finding a 999.
Yeah, so that was going to be my comment, is the 999. That shouldn't be hard to find, actually. That was a common product across the Chrysler line, and we were able to send Jordan's first Jeep 999 to a local shop here that they turned into a full manual. They beefed it all up and built it, and he raced a couple years and pre-ran at KOH on that same tranny. So if you're really wheeling it, I suggest you do the manual valve body, because it allows you to hold the gear you're in. Before he did that, he would be going to go up a hill and it would try and jump to the next gear instead of, you know, letting it wind all the way to the top. So just think about that. What else you got?
That I think is it for now.
Yeah, doing pretty good.
Yep.
Two questions. What shocks do you like for a, it says SOA YJ, but I imagine them
Spring over axle.
Yeah.
Yep.
So what shocks would you recommend?
You know, what you really want is you want the biggest shock body that you can get. You know, so King and Fox typically make the bigger shock bodies, but you know, you might be able to get a Bilstein in a 6100 or 7100. Those are their nicer models. These are the 5100s. So, you know, remember, on the spring over, you get a lot of axle wrap, and I know everybody tries to make an axle wrap bar and stuff, but every one I ever made, I destroyed it and broke stuff off. You know, you're literally limiting suspension movement. So if you're investing in that route, 3 or 4 Lincoln it should be on your short list. That's all I can say. Jordan, you got another one?
Anthony Paquette, will you be putting a slip yoke and eliminator kit and JE reel shafts in it?
Yes, yeah. So I've chosen the advanced adapter slip yoke eliminator. It's a 32 spline output. It does require that you split the case, but to me that's okay, because I want to get in there and see what kind of condition everything else is in anyways. By the way, the NP231 is a decent transfer case. They do well. And remember, I'm also keeping this so I can flat tow it. That's part of what I liked about this Jeep, is that it gives Debbie and I something that when we do want to go somewhere quick and easy, I can just throw a tow bar on this, and it's super light. Remember, these were only 3,150 pounds from the factory, and that was with hard doors and a hard top, so I've got that stuff taken off, so I'm probably like right at 3,000 pounds. Nice and light.
That's all I got for now.
James?
Have you named the Jeep yet?
No, I'm looking for name suggestions. So if you have anything good for a white Jeep, I would welcome any suggestions.
A beater white Jeep.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll post up a form on the website, and the winner gets a little
Sure, a little swag bag or something. I was jokingly referring to it as the Intimidator, because it's like totally stock and isn't going to intimidate anybody, but we should probably come up with something either in the earthquake, realm, call it tremor or something, it's small, right? It's not even an aftershock, it's like tiny. So.
Just joining the chat, has brake booster and master cylinder upgrades been discussed? I know the 6-cylinder 95 had dual diaphragm, but those are hard to find.
Yeah, and a lot of the time you can still order those. I know Collins Brothers has some of that stuff. Sometimes you can find them at a Napa as a new item. Obviously you're gonna pay more for that than if you're trying to find one at a junkyard someplace. This one, the brakes work fine. And I'm obviously, by going to the Dana 44, I'm getting rear disc brakes. And then I've also opted to upgrade the brake pads to a semi-metallic from R1, which are a direct fit, just drop them in. So super easy. Yeah. Did I answer all that, James?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. But it is common, by the way, I know our sales guy, Keith Lyon, he had a brake booster go out. I mean, it's old, right? So I noticed that the clutch master cylinder seems a little weak to me. So that's on my short list of just maintenance items. And, we've got a few Jeeps in the yard too that I can steal parts off of if I get in a bind or just go to Napa and pick up, a new one to put on there. So it's already got braided steel brake lines. That was part of whoever did the 3-inch lift, at least did that. So that's nice. But no, for the most part, it drives nice. And because it's so light, it stops. Like, there's not much to stop. It's half the weight of our other Jeeps. So yeah, pretty good. Oh, Jordan's got more.
Someone said I just got here. Can you do the whole speech again?
You'll have to rewatch it, but the whole idea behind this was to show everybody how to pick up a Jeep, a YJ in particular, because they're undervalued, and build it with all the right stuff so that you could go run a trail like the Rubicon. So let's actually blip through that list real quick, okay? So, I've shown you guys all the stuff that I'm doing. Now, let's focus on just the parts that you would have to do. So, obviously, you got to buy the Jeep. You got to pay the tax, registration, smog it, all that good stuff. Then I put on shocks for about $380. You're going to do a front bumper. That's our least expensive at $349. You're going to do a winch, the Warn VR Series winch, which is $519. Then you're going to do our rocker guards. These are kind of a bare minimum at $649. You're going to pick up one of these one-piece front axle shafts and get rid of that vacuum disconnect. You can buy these all day long for $100 or less. Sometimes you get the whole axle, but you don't want the whole axle.
Right?
From a TJ. Yep. You're going to pick up a Dana 44 from somebody's yard or a junkyard or anywhere. That one came complete for $500 with disc brakes. A lot of the time the disc brake conversion alone is $500, so totally worth the money. Then you're going to put in Yukon Lockers for $1,280. You're going to re-gear it to 456 for $511. You're going to do the slip yoke Eliminator for $230. You're going to get the JE rear drive shaft for $300. You're going to buy 35-inch tires for $1,869. All of that is $10,031.
And we can post this spreadsheet on our website.
Yeah.
You can download it.
Yeah, I could do that on the Tech Talk section of our website. So really what I wanted to do, and keep in mind, I'm only doing $5,000 more with the stuff, which is, the upgraded seats and some of that other stuff that, I upgraded the steering and everything. So, you can do a lot of this inexpensively, and then the extra stuff you can do over time, right, as you can afford it. Maybe Christmas comes around, your birthday, whatever, you can get parts and kind of keep collecting. We did put a new Odyssey battery in here too. Those are like $300, but I wanted a good one. I like the gel batteries. So what else you got, Jordy?
First off, everyone's shocked that you mentioned smog.
Yeah. Well, you know, if you want a daily driver, and here in California, if you want to register it, it's got to pass smog. So, yep, when I transferred title, that was the deal. Yeah, Jordy.
My 241 that I want to replace my 231 won't need slip yoke eliminator.
It will not, correct. That's one of the benefits. And that's probably a 4-to-1. So you've already got the lower gears in it. Yep.
What are those seats again?
These are the PRP Enduro recliners. I guess the box isn't in here anymore, but it is super nice. It's got the removable seat cushions, 5th point, you know, obviously takes the harnesses. And, you know, if you custom order these are $4.99 each. If you custom order them, you can get them without extra charge, all the different fabrics and everything you want. Like in the Terremoto, I fill these sections with suede because it grips your clothes. You won't slide around. But this is a very low bolster the bolster works good when you sit in this because the foam compresses, but it makes it easy to get in and out. You don't feel like you're climbing in and out of a deep bucket. And it's got great where it holds your back. Really great support built in here. So this is a nice upgrade. Seriously think about that. Don't forget to get the brackets. You're gonna need those to adapt them to your factory seat mounts. So, yep.
Booster upgrade for a 85 CJ to adequately run 60 and a 14, disc brakes front and rear.
Yeah, I'd do a search on the internet and look around for that. If Jason Adams is around, he might know some of my guys that do a lot of that kind of stuff, or maybe even Keith if he's listening. So, but yeah, a bigger booster. A lot of people pull them out of the Dodge 1500s. I mean, there's definitely some upgrades you can do, and there's also, you know, you can do the hydro assist boost too. So that's the one that runs off your power steering, and that's like crazy powerful. So I don't necessarily recommend that, but that is possible. Yeah.
Do you prefer PRP or Mastercraft?
You know, PRP's close to us, and they've been a good partner for a long time. Yesterday, I happened to see Aaron and was telling him about what I'm doing, and he's like, "Oh, you know, do you already have seats? Like, let's get you some seats." So they've been very good to work with over the years. They support us in racing, and you know, it's American made. They make a great product. And you know, down the road, if I trash these seat covers, I can always send them back, and they'll recover them for me. And you know, well, actually, they'll do it for anybody, but. I saw seats while I was down there that were pretty chowdered, and they were recovering for people. So pretty nice, yeah. So we're getting down to the last few minutes. So by all means, keep those questions coming. I am going to mention one thing. On one of the previous Tech Talks, we covered these containers and some other equipment from Front Runner, and they have now given us our own code. So if you go to their website, it's capital G for GenRight. Just type in GenRight, GenRight, with a capital G, and you can get all these products. And these are those storage containers that we were showing you that are stackable, and this one's got the extended lid on it and stuff. They're really nice. They're worthy to be rated outdoor. You can stand on them. You know, they're pretty nice. So I did want to mention, check out Front Runner's website and use that promo code from GenRight. Okay, more questions, Jordy?
Everyone's happy to see you're building another YJ.
Yeah, and something cheap. You know, we talk about 40+ inch tires all the time and expensive, you know, fancy stuff. I figured this might appeal to, like I said, your friends, maybe you want something else yourself that's a little less expensive to tootle around in. So Debbie and I were driving around in this yesterday. So, yep, it's a fun little runner. And we've actually got one of the Scosche boom bottles in there as our music source right now until I get my MRB3 installed. So, yeah. Anything else? Either you or Jamie? No,
That's
we're doing pretty good.
It.
Oh, there is one more thing I want to talk about. So this guy, this is often forgot about. This is a license plate relocator. So what you do is you take off your spare tire, you put this on, and then you put your spare on, and then you slide this baby on there and lock it down. This is the mounting pattern for a license plate. So this can sit in the middle of your spare tire. And then we sell a cool little LED brake light that goes on here that has a plug on it, so that if you need to take this off, you can clamp it back, unplug it and clamp it down. This also is drilled so you can run a cable lock or a padlock through here so nobody can steal your license plate or even get to your spare, which is kind of nice. And if you've got a YJ, you know that license plate hangs off the corner, and mine's already been hit and damaged, so that's why it's getting the update. So, and I also did our armrests on my factory half doors, which is very nice upgrade. Everybody that gets in loves it, so check those out as well. What else you got, Jordy?
That's about it.
About it, James?
Someone asked, what's the timeline on this build? Will we see updates?
Yeah, so Alex and I are gonna film every product we install on this. So you guys will see a bunch, however many this is, 20 short videos of all these parts getting installed. And, I hope to have it done over the next, month or two, I would say at the most. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. Oh, we didn't talk about the speakers either. Those were, because I'm upgrading the stereo, I got some speakers that slide in right behind the seats, but up against the rear fender wells. And those are typically like 90 bucks. They come with speakers, and they sound really nice. It just gives you that extra sound, so you have the dash speakers and these. So I did already throw a new set of wipers on there, some of the nice silicone ones. So if you haven't tried those out, they're definitely worth the money. Looks like Jordan's got another question.
Do you have those armrest pads for half doors in stock?
We just made another batch. I know half of them sold already, but there should be some in stock, yeah.
Any plans for lighting?
So I know Jamie picked up some inexpensive replacement headlights. These are definitely not bright. These are the old style incandescent. Yeah, you're not even sure that they're on, So those are on my short list. I noticed on Amazon they start at like 30 bucks for like full on LEDs, and then you can get fancier ones for like 60 bucks. So yeah.
Yeah, I think I paid like 100.
Did you? Yeah. So I found some that had halos on them, so that would kind of match everything else we're doing. But and then at some point I might throw on a couple of bumper lights, probably keep them relatively small, but and then maybe some rock lights. So, but then those would all be Vision X. Yep. What else you got, Jordy?
Jamie Rhodes, cool to see you guys doing a budget YJ. My son and I are currently fixing up an 89 YJ for his first vehicle. We have 1 year to get it going. Gonna enjoy watching this.
There you go. I figured we might have some folks like that. This is, really the bare minimum. And again, obviously, if you don't plan to take it off-road and you just want a cool utilitarian tool-around vehicle that the top comes off on, you don't have to do much. But if you want to start taking it off-road, you need some recovery points, you need some rocker protection. These stock things are total garbage. I can't even stand on them to wash the windshield. So yeah, I'm looking forward to getting some real rocker protection on there. And these are not that heavy. When I went to pick these up, I was expecting to have to do the clean jerk, and I was like, man, that's not bad at all. And that's a full 1 3/4 DOM, 120 wall tube on there with our dimple die step. These are nice. And you can powder coat them or rattle can them. I'm just rattle can them. That makes it super easy to touch up. And I'm gonna do the same thing on the rear bumper. I'll get that rattle canned up. And
It's called the Jeep Rusty Right.
Rusty Right. Not bad. I mean, it won't be rusty for much longer, but yeah. It. By the way, it did have the chrome grill on, and that's why it's
Why
a
the
little
headlights are
rusty
crying.
underneath there. So yeah, I know. It wouldn't take much to clean that up. The blinkers are actually in pretty good shape. Jamie threw his in Jordan's little ultrasonic
parts
cleaner.
washer, dude. This thing looked brand new.
Yeah.
But now one works sometimes.
Oh,
Oh boy.
that's not good. Maybe a bad idea.
So.
With your hand,
I thought we took the bulbs out. Maybe that's a wiring flaw.
it's a wire.
I think that's a wiring flaw.
But this thing's quiet. It's smooth. It doesn't rattle or squeak. It really. Once we got rid of the shocks, the putting the new shocks on like made all the difference, and I greased all the stuff, so
I think it needs a new steering stabilizer too.
it
I
probably
almost
does.
crashed it a couple days ago.
Yeah.
It's a little
So
sketchy.
yeah, it happens.
That's all I got.
All right. Well, we're at 6 o'clock. Thanks everybody for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and like we mentioned many times already, we're going to be videotaping all of the steps of this build and posting them on YouTube, so you guys will see a lot of that and how it goes. We're gonna have a lot of fun doing this, and it's just gonna turn this thing into a really nice little Jeep. Obviously, it's not gonna be a fancy coil-over V8 build, but it'll be a good little runner and capable of going, most places that we want to go. So, all right, till next Wednesday, have a great rest of the week, and we'll see you then.